Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm Tomiwa Aluko. Today I am thrilled to have with me Sheila Pryce, spiritual experience and sleep paralysis expert. Sheila is also an award-winning speaker, best-selling author, and researcher. And today we're going to be talking about sleep paralysis. And Sheila is here today to educate us on what sleep paralysis is, its causes, symptoms, and how common it is. She's also going to share with us her experience battling sleep paralysis for over 30 years. Sheila, thank you so much for joining me. It's such an honor to have you today.
The honor is all mine, and thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for kind of arranging this and for giving me a voice, a platform to share my experience and hopefully provide some support and information to other people out there.
Before we dive right in, I would like you to tell us more about what you do as a spiritual experience and sleep paralysis expert.
Predominantly right now, I'm in my second year of my PhD at the University of York, where I'm really blessed and kind of so fully supported in my research, which is related to sleep paralysis. And it's sleep paralysis and the science behind it, as well as coming at it from a spiritual angle. So I'm illuminating the link, the scientific and the spiritual, and looking at the sleep paralysis experience. So that's taking up an awful lot of my time right now doing that research.
Let's talk about what sleep paralysis is because I feel so many people have no idea what sleep paralysis is. To be honest with you, it wasn't until I had a chat with you that came across the word or the term sleep paralysis. But please tell us, what is sleep paralysis?
Okay, it's a phenomena that is shared by millions of people across the world. There's no there's no boundaries really. It can happen to anyone. I've even heard of it happening to children having these experiences as well. Although it's more common in persons who are, I'd say, over the age of 2021. It's an experience whereby you go to sleep normally, regardless of the day you've had. You go to sleep normally, you're in bed, and at some point during your sleep state, you wake up. It's strange because you're sleeping, but you know that you've awoken. And you've awoken in an environment that seems, for want of a better word, otherworldly. And it's in this environment that you experience several things. You may hear sounds, you may hear whispering, you may hear persons talking, you may see shadows, you may see movement, you may actually see entities as well. You may have sensations like you may feel something poking you, grabbing at your leg, trying to drag you, touch you. There are even cases where there are sexual experiences going on as well during that state. Some people feel the weight on their chest. I mean, I did, and we'll talk about that a bit later. But there's the weight on the chest. I mean, you're there in your bed, you feel this weight, this pressure. You get the feeling that you're literally going to die in that scenario. And for everyone who has this experience, the experience always starts off in a foreboding way. So you get the sense that there's something, yes, there's something not quite right here, a bit otherworldly, but there's something very negative about that initial feeling, to the point where your anxiety rises, you feel afraid, you're scared. There's something there that is not kindly, which is evil is the word. I'll call it out. It's an evil feeling, a foreboding, threatening feeling whilst you're in that sleep state. Now, when you feel that sense of fear and terror as well, you then start to panic, try to wake yourself up, only to find that your body is paralyzed. You can't move. You're stuck in that state and having to endure and really see through whatever is going on in that experience. And that is a classic sleep paralysis experience. And whilst there are many variations to it, centrally it's foreboding, it's otherworldly, and there's the paralysis, the physical paralysis that you experience, which means that you can't just wake up from it. You sometimes either have to see it through, or you do certain things to try and get yourself out of that state. So yeah, that's the sleep paralysis experience. I should also add that I did say it's a worldwide phenomena. It's happening all over the place. It doesn't matter which culture you're from, your background, your race or ethnicity. It can happen to anyone. It doesn't. Your social standing, your status, your language, nothing matters. It can happen to anyone. Can have the experience, and it's estimated that 1 in 20 persons has had an experience of sleep paralysis worldwide. So it's very, very common, and there are a lot of people that are having the experiences and not sharing them. So whilst we have the figure of 1 in 20 as an estimate, I'm sure that it's really far more than that.
But what causes sleep paralysis really? What are the causes and the symptoms?
From the medical perspective, the cause isn't neurological, in that there's a disturbance during your sleep state in terms of your REM sleep, which is your rapid eye movement phase, because when we sleep, we go through different phases of sleep. So there is an abnormality in your sleep state, which causes you then to hallucinate and for your brain to create these experiences and these images that you have. And therefore, from the medical perspective, medication is prescribed to subdue, to suppress the experience at the sleep state so that you don't have the sleep paralysis experiences. Now, I heard when you said what causes sleep paralysis, and that doesn't even justify or explain the cause. It's really just kind of going that next level up and saying that there's a problem with your sleep state, and there's some neurological issue going on here, but it still doesn't address what has caused that neurological disorder, if we're going to go down that line in terms of the medical community's explanation of sleep paralysis. For me, the most significant flaw in that argument is that how is it that we all share the same hallucination? How is it that millions of people across the world, from all different backgrounds, genders, cultures, everything, we have the same experience? We see the same entities. We feel the same sensations, the same sounds. How is that possible from the hallucination argument? Now, there is also another argument which I veer towards, is the spiritual, non-physical argument, which is related to our energy bodies, our ethereal bodies, our spirit, if you want, or our soul, and that we are not just physical beings, we are also spiritual, non-physical beings, and that when we sleep, we can let go of the physical body and we become energetic. And it's in that state that we are having these experiences, and that That's why we are able to do things like astral projection. We have these lucid type dreams. All types of things can happen during our sleep state. And that's because we are in our non physical state. We are spiritual beings, energetic. And therefore, we can engage with different dimensions and do a whole load of different things when we are in our sleep state. So there are those two perspectives. And so for some, the rationality lies quite clearly in that it was an hallucination, and that I've got to take the medication to suppress it. And then I suppose there are others in the middle, not sure what's going on. And then there's the spiritual perspective. Ultimately, there is no categorical answer to that question in terms of what it is. The science just has not reached that place yet to say that this is what the sleep paralysis experience is. I know that if you've ever experienced sleep paralysis, you know very well the otherworldly nature of it. The fact how real it feels. You know that it's not a normal dream because you wake up and you feel very much like you're awake, to the point when you do really wake up, it's like, wow, what did I just experience? What was that all about? So it's to some extent for me it's exciting times because we're exploring this phenomena, and looking at it, with a laser to understand it, to unpick it, and to get to the place where we can say that this is what sleep paralysis is.
You're right. It's something that we still need more research. It's something that we still need to ask necessary questions because I've experienced it before and I believe that I've mentioned it to you once. And I remember it was it was it was an experience that I froze, to be honest. It felt like my soul was literally leaving my body. So it's a scary experience, and this is why it's important for us to talk about this. And I'm so, so happy to have you here. But as a sleep paralysis expert, how do you support people? I believe that you offer some sort of advice, and I don't know, just talk us through, please. How do you support people who are battling sleep paralysis?
Okay, so at the moment, I'm in the middle of doing a course
Yes.
which persons can access. I mean, what I would say to anybody out there who is interested is to follow me, to look at my social media, to join. I've got a Substack, and I'm more engaging on my Substack platform, personally. So it's a newsletter which I put out a couple of times a week, and I would say definitely get on the mailing list for that because that's my central place where I kind of put information and things that are going on there. I'm building out a course right now which persons will be able to join, where they can get support with their sleep paralysis experiences and more understanding about what's going on. And that will involve the online stuff as well as face-to-face sessions and group meetings and things like that, where we can work with each other and share each other's experiences so that that isolated feeling isn't there, and also work with me on a one-to-one basis. Now, I would say watch this space for when that's going to go live. Definitely by the end of next month, it should be out. But join the Substack, and the Substack is sheilaprycebrooks.substack.com. If I think that's right. Check that out there and add yourself to the list. If not, just look at my other social media platforms, and the Substack link should definitely be there. In the meantime, I would say that persons can reach out to me at any time. I'm quite an open person and open to providing support on a kind of ad hoc kind of basis until the course is open.
Thank you for that information. I'm sure that viewers who are currently battling with this sleep paralysis thing, they are definitely going to contact you. Let's move on to your experience, Sheila. I remember when I met you prior to me meeting you at the TEDx Sheffield Hallam University event, which was early this year in February. It was a great event. I really, really loved your talk. Congratulations on that again. You mentioned to me that it's something that you battled with in the past for over 30 years of your life. Can you take us back to that time? What was your experience like? What challenges did you have?
It started in my early 20s, I would say. And I didn't really catch on to what was going on at first. I was having what I thought were just bad dreams. And the frequency was perhaps once a month, once every 3 weeks. These dreams were happening. And then I noticed the frequency, they became more frequent and more clear, and the experience were more, I could feel those experiences that I were having during the sleep paralysis episodes, and that got my attention. It got my attention so much so that I started to anticipate having them. I became fearful of having them. I became afraid to sleep, quite literally. What would happen was I would, like I said, I'd go to sleep normally. I would wake up very quickly, having dozed off, and sometimes I could feel them coming even before I was fully asleep. So there was something about that initial sleep stage where I could feel the atmosphere change. For me, there was a thing around temperature. It would get cold, and I would know that I'm there, that I'm in this place, because the temperature would drop. After that, there would be the darkness and the shadows. Where the light was coming from, I still don't know. But there were shadows, and I would see the movements around me. I would know that I'm the object of attention. I would definitely feel like I'm being watched in that environment. And I would feel that anxiety, that foreboding, that fear. It's a bit scary. I would feel scared in that instance. And then it's like, just as I'm kind of analyzing what's going on and what's happening, that's when I would have the weight on my chest, and a couple of times I'd look up and I'd see this huge, it was like a huge round beast like thing that was sitting on top of me. And I would literally feel like I'm gonna die, like I'm dying, not I'm going to die. I'm dying here. I would have no breath. I couldn't breathe. I'd feel myself going through the bed with the weight. It would just push me right down. I would feel my ribs kind of going inwards, my whole body going inwards. And I'm dying in this instance. And I'm trying to scream. And I'm trying to move and fight, but nothing is coming out, and I'm not able to move. And I think that because I'm not able to move, that the fear and the panic is kind of intensified, because I'm struggling now against the beast, against myself, and nothing is happening, you know. And then something would happen. Either I would make a small movement, I'd make a noise, and I did learn how to make the noise in my throat, a grunting noise in my throat over the years, and whoosh, it would be gone. And I would wake up and I would say, I'm alive, and, give thanks that I got through that, And this was regular, 2, 3 times each week it would happen. Like I said, I became afraid to sleep. I did lots of different things, in fact. I prayed incessantly. All the time I was praying, especially before I went to sleep, but also during the day in anticipation of what was going to happen. There were the Bibles. I had crosses. I bought crosses, put them up in the bedroom, in the house. The incense was burning, different smells. To be honest, I didn't know much about the different types of incense, but in my mind, that's what you do. I suppose on a subconscious level, I had associated these experiences with something evil and demonic and curse-like and witch-like, which was why for me I went towards religious stuff and spiritual stuff to try and overcome this situation. I felt like I needed to be cleansed and thought that maybe my home needed to be cleansed of these evil spirits and what was going on around me. I also slept in other places, and I even went to different hotels and apartments, but they followed me there. It would still happen in these other places. So then I knew that it wasn't part of my home, because wherever I went, it would still happen. I would still have the experiences, you know. After a long time, and bear in mind, no one knew about this apart from people in my immediate household. It wasn't something that I shared externally, not even with external family members. I guess I was feeling this, I just felt cursed. I felt bewitched as well, you know, and there was a sense of shame and a sense of stigma that went with that. I suppose I felt that persons might feel like they don't want to be around me. If Sheila's got carrying this thing, they would kind of stigmatize me. So I didn't share what was going on. After a long time, I'll tell you, it took a long time for me to decide to go to the doctor. And because I thought that it was nothing medical, you know, at the time I knew nothing about what was going on, but you know, I was getting really tired, really scared, and I went to the doctor and remember the doctor experience very, very clearly. He listened to me explain my story, didn't say a word, took up his pen slowly and wrote me a prescription for sleeping tablets. And he said I needed to get a good night's rest. And from that, I mean, I left the doctor's office feeling worse than how I'd gone in. You know, that was a complete waste of time in my mind. I mean, how do you give sleeping tablets to someone who sees ghouls and demons in their sleep? I was afraid to take those tablets because I thought that they're going to knock me out, and it's hard enough to get out of it, much less having taken sleeping tablets. You know, that means I'm a ready victim there. And I just didn't take the tablets, completely on my own. And that was when I started to do some research into the experience. I think I wanted to see if anyone else was experiencing it, and searched it on the internet. Well, I went to the library first, and there was nothing about it in my local library. And that's when I went to the internet, and it was early days. Google hadn't come out. I think it was Explorer I was using. And I did see some reference made to the term sleep paralysis. And it was then that I was able to give a name to the experiences that I was having. And I said, oh, I'm having sleep paralysis episodes. That's what's happening. And then it wasn't until I saw the painting. There was a painting that was done by Henry Fuseli in the 1700s, which depicted a lady on her back. There was a beast on her chest, and there was a horse in the background, and the background in the painting was dark and shadowy. And it was when I saw that, I stepped back from the computer and I said, whoa, you know, that's my situation. That's me there. That's the beast. That's it. I mean, and in those seconds, it was like, I was thinking, how is that possible? How can this man from 17, I think it's 1706 or oh 02, paint this picture and capture so clearly the experiences that I'm having nearly 300 years later? And it was then that I suppose I became empowered. When I saw that, it was the painting that changed everything for me, because I saw that, and what that represented was, I'm not the only one having them. Someone captured it 300 years ago, you know, so there's something historical here. The lady that it was happening to looked like a white English lady. So I thought, okay, so it's not because of my culture why this is happening. And all these things went through my mind, and it was then that I shifted from victim, right? I was no longer a passive victim with the like, woe is me, they're gonna get me, I'm afraid to, no, no, no. It became, you know, something much bigger is going on here. This isn't a Sheila thing. This is universal. This is historical. This is not specific to my background and my family culture. This is something far, far bigger than what I thought it was. And my attitude became one of, bring it on. It's like, in my mind, I said to the guys or to the entities, bring it on, because I'm ready for you now. I am no longer that person. I'm now empowered. I've claimed back my power, my authority, my dominion over me. I'm ready now. Let's up the game here. And I became someone who wanted to understand the phenomena rather than just accept what's going on. I wanted to understand it, know more about it, and that set me on the path that I'm on now, which is where I'm doing the research, I'm studying the phenomena, and I'm providing support in as many ways as I can to persons out there who are also experiencing sleep paralysis. So from an experience which for me was tremendously negative, I can see the light now. And if it wasn't for that path, I wouldn't be here with you speaking about it now. And hopefully other persons can watch the video and know they're not alone and get support with this experience that they're having.
Thank you so much. Honestly, I'm short of words, but I think that you are a fighter, definitely. You are a survivor. Thinking that you actually went through that ordeal for 30 years of your life. I'm just happy to know that you overcame it. And now you are bigger and better, and you are inspiring hundreds and thousands of people right now who are going to watch this video. You are definitely an inspiration. So thank you so much for sharing that with me. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so very much. I think that there's something about my experience where I internalized it, you know, because I thought it was linked to me. It wasn't something then that I shared with others, and I internalized and I normalized it. So it became an everyday part of my life and my experience, you know. And I think that that's why it's really important for me to share and to speak about the experiences, because it doesn't have to be normalized. The experiences are extraordinary spiritual experiences, and they're scientific phenomena, and to some extent the science hasn't caught up with what's going on with us. You know, the science is a bit behind. We're having these experiences and the research hasn't yet been done. But I feel so blessed to be part of the community that can drive that science, you know, so that we know more about what's going on. And I should say also that having had the experiences that I've had, I've come out differently. The experience has shown me that we are far more as human beings than what we think we are, you know. There's an academic, Shiner, who talks about the gateway, and that sleep paralysis, when you have it, there's a gateway through which you have to pass. And once passing that spiritual, non-physical gateway, you gain entry to so many gifts and wonders, that you previously were not aware of. And I truly feel like I've gone through that gateway. I've found that when I sleep now, my experiences are slightly different. There's a lot of precognitive dreams going on. My intuition is rampant. You know, I know things before they actually happen. I'm able to astral project and go different places. My dreams are very lucid. So there's a lot of things going on with me right now, having gone through that experience. And I definitely agree that there's some kind, once you can get through the experience and pass that gateway, try not to get stuck in the fear of it, overcome it. And that's something you do in your waking state, and you take it with you when you sleep, so that you are stronger in your sleep, and then pass through the gateway. And that's when the magic starts. I mean, it's just incredible, the knowings and the downloads and the information and the experience that one can have once you've traversed that and transcended the sleep paralysis episodes. You become more aware that as a human being doesn't just end at these physical experiences. There's so much going on in a non-physical sense that it's just wondrous what's going on when you can enter that realm. And I truly feel that that's where the gift in it lies. And for anybody that's kind of at the negative end, try and focus on the positives, you know, on what can happen once you go through that gateway.
Amazing. I was just about asking you how you battling with sleep paralysis, how it impacted your life. But just hearing you mention that it impacted you in a very positive way, how else did it impact your personal life?
Um, it 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 kind of shaped, I think, everything around me. Um, you know, you're kind of functioning. You're going to work. You're with friends and family and children and so forth, and you're functioning. You're getting on with things. But at some point, you know, all of that quietens down. The evening comes. The night comes. You know, and so you know that that's going to happen. So I was always conscious of, you know, I don't want to sleep. You know, I would drag it out. I would try and go to bed late. I'd think maybe if I slept earlier in the day, maybe it wouldn't happen. I'd read the Bible sometimes and think maybe it's not going to happen. Everything was structured around it. I thought, if I drink alcohol, because I'm somebody that if I have a drink, it's going to knock me out. Even the white wine. I know that if I drink white wine, I'm going to sleep really deep. And so I wouldn't drink, So it's akin to having an illness, and you have this illness. So everything that you do is structured around your illness. Maybe you can't go to certain places, maybe because I know then that I couldn't just sleep anywhere. I couldn't doze off because somebody might hear me grunting in my throat and think, what's going on? What's happening there? So everything in my life was structured around. So they had complete dominion over my life. And like I said, I normalized so this was normal for me. It was normal for me to watch the time, to think about where I'm going to sleep and who's going to be around. These were just, it became my everyday normal practice to live like that. I can even remember there was times when I would be at work and I'm thinking maybe if I have a quick nap, because I was so exhausted, in the bathroom. Let me go in the toilet. I'd shut the cubicle, sit on the toilet seat, and I'd doze off. And they would come there. I would have the attack in the bathroom, in the toilet, when I'm thinking that I would be safe. I'm trying to. So it was something that I felt that they were always around. And now that I have a bit more understanding of the spiritual nature of it, and the different dimensions and realities and how they can all intersect, it makes perfect sense now to me what was going on at that time, But it was because it was normalized, why it wasn't seen as enduring. And it was because I was a willing victim. So I didn't see myself as trying to be a survivor. I was stuck in victim mode. So I was always on the defense, trying to get away from it, trying not to have it happen to me. So therefore I was stuck in that space for all of those years. And it's been maybe about I'd say about 2 or 3 years that I haven't had a full-on attack like that. Like I said, other things happen to me whilst I sleep, but the fear has gone. The fear has gone. I'm no longer in that passive victim mode, and things have moved on from me. And I suppose that the experiences that I'm having now whilst I sleep, I'm normalizing those. Those have been normalized. So it's normal for me to sleep and have very clear experiences where I travel to different places, where I see different people, where I witness events unfolding, where I can see myself sleeping in the bed. These are all normalized experiences for me now. And I'm learning and I'm enjoying these experiences to some extent, and trying to kind of unravel them and see where this takes me.
Let's talk about more about you as a person, not who you were. I know that you are also what should I call it? A philanthropist. You have a charity or you work with some charity organizations. What can you tell us about all the things that you do apart from being a spiritual experience and sleep paralysis expert?
So I would say that I've always been a kind of caring, helpful, helping kind of individual. My my main profession, I'm a teacher, but I've always taught in non-traditional environments. So I'm the teacher in the community centre, in the higher education centre, in the deprived communities where we can get a building and get some funding through to deliver these classes to these young people that need support. And my career has always been along those lines. So I've worked for I've always worked for charitable organisations like the YMCA. You've got in the UK Centrepoint. These charitable, they were fairly large organisations, but they provide services to persons who are in need, and who need the extra support. And that's the background that I've come up from, as the teacher working in those environments and then managing projects and so forth. And at the moment, yes, I've got a community that I'm working with in Jamaica. It's a very rural community, and I'm providing support to them in a charitable way. Set up a community group there, trying to get funding through that can help with farming produce, farming techniques, and water. Water is desperately needed in those communities. So we're working hard to empower them in that way. I'm also chair of the Jamaica China Business Forum, where again in Jamaica we're trying to develop more partnerships with Chinese businesses and Chinese communities and bring more training and resources to persons here in Jamaica. So though I'm doing those roles in a non-voluntary way and using the experiences that I've had. When I say experiences, professional experiences of networking and fundraising and writing proposals and applications and meeting structures and all of that, and helping communities in Jamaica to kind of be more uplifted and get more support through the support that I can provide them with. So those are the kind of charitable endeavors that I'm doing right now.
Thank you. And I really do wish you all the best in what you're doing at the moment and your research, of course. Before I let you go, please, I just I just want to know because you just literally poured your heart out to talking about your experience, and I feel honored. I don't feel alone anymore because I always thought, you know what, Tomiwa, this has happened to only you. No one knows about this, no one cares. But just hearing you and talking about it, I feel empowered myself. I feel like, you know what, if that happened to me, that doesn't necessarily mean that there's something wrong with me. So please, for those people who have just listened to all you have to say, what advice do you have for them? Those who are currently battling sleep paralysis.
Well, it's like you said. I would say definitely that this you're not on your own. You know that this is happening to millions of people across the world. We're all having the same experiences. I would also say that it's important not to be afraid of them. Now, I know it's easier said than done, but there's something about trying to take control of the situation, to not see it in a fearful way, and that's something you need to do in your awake state. If it means saying affirmations, saying prayers, doing, I got angry. For me, the anger and frustration at being victimized was enough to empower me, so that when I was in my sleep state, it was like, I'm not doing this anymore. And that's the place that you need to get to if you're having these experiences. Like I said, the science hasn't caught up with what's going on in the world with persons in these experiences. So, in terms of support structures, there aren't many out there. I've looked, and there are groups on social media that you can join and tap into and share experiences. But it's important not to stay at that level, because remember, you're trying to surpass the experience, and sometimes with the Facebook groups and so forth, you're stuck in the experience with people talking about, yeah, I did this happened to me, I saw that, I had this experience. You want to transcend it, and that's what one should be focusing on. Apart from not being afraid, I would take an exploratory approach to it as well. When you're having the experiences, try and analyze it. What did you see? What didn't you see? What were you able to do? Because it's not until I kind of reflected that I realized I could see myself in the experience. How is that possible? That defies all of the laws of physics that we currently know about. How is it that I'm looking down on myself on the bed and I look quite normal, and that happens regularly? How can I do that? And so start to investigate it a bit more, to try and understand the experience and the phenomena that you're having. And that exploratory attitude shifts you away from being terrified and waiting for them to come. Try to understand the pattern. So for me, I would notice a temperature shift. For some people, they hear a noise, a whirring noise, or a screech. What do you hear? Try and analyze and understand what's going on, because this is you at the end of the day that we're talking about. And there's something about you understanding you and what you're going through, and see it as a journey. Because for me, I'm very much on a journey right now. I'm on a journey where I'm exploring this other side to me. I'm not denying it. I think also for a long time, I tried to rationalize the experience in a normal framework. It's a nightmare, it's a bad dream, I'm stressed, I'm tired, I'm overworked, until you really have to, when it happens so intensely, that you really have to kind of accept that this is outside of the box here, what's going on, and that's okay. And let me see what that's all about, even if I'm just kind of doing my journal and making notes about the experiences, which is another thing I highly recommend. Keep your journal close by, make recordings on your phone, and make sure that these experiences are recorded, most importantly, so that you can reflect on them and start to analyze, assess, and understand what's going on. I think that's my advice to anyone who's having these experiences. And that maybe, yes, to some extent, we are extraordinary. We are tapping into something unknown, you know, and yeah, maybe that's something to be celebrated, that we are evolving, that we are able to access something that a lot of people are not able to touch, to know about, to experience. So first thing, don't be stuck in the fear. Do what you can do to shift from that place, and then enjoy the ride.
I know I said that was the last question, but in your opinion, please, what more do you want the medical world now? Because now let's think outside the box and actually brainstorm something that can be done to help people and to talk about this more and maybe even offer a permanent solution to it. Because people are, I'm sure that hundreds and thousands of people have experienced something similar to what you experienced years ago. In your opinion, what would you like the medical world now? Now I'm talking about practitioners, scientists, and experts who are in similar fields as you. What more do you want them to do about sleep paralysis to help people?
Um, I'd like the medical community to have a more open-minded approach to this phenomena. I'm not saying that they should come all the way and say to persons you're having an extraordinary spiritual experience. No, but let's at least be prepared to have an open mind and explore different perspectives and work with different perspectives. So for me, one of the key things also in terms of shifting was, for example, meditation. And I'm now a regular meditator. So perhaps meditation is one way to ease the experiences. You know, I mentioned affirmations. Maybe affirmations is another tool. The approach does not have to be chemically based in the form of tablets to suppress the experience. Let's look more holistically at healing the experiences and looking at different types of therapy that persons could access to reduce the phenomena, the experiences, you know. For me, that would be fantastic if the community, the medical community, were prepared to explore this alternative approach. At the moment, the only options are chemically based tablets, antidepressants, which try to suppress that sleep state so you don't have those experiences. And I would be putting, and not just I would be, I want to put an alternative model on the table, and which is non-chemically based, that says, okay, to people that this is another option, why not try this? In the same way that there are lots of other types of practices that you can get from the doctor now, which are not just chemically based. You can get acupuncture, for example, which is Chinese medicine, which you can go to the doctors and receive. You know, you can go to a chiropractor as well and get alternative types of treatment there. You can go to the Chinese herbal shop and get stuff there. I want to put another option on the table for the medical community that provides options for persons who are experiencing this phenomena. And you know, I look forward to the day when people can access this, when they go to their doctors, when they look online, whatever it might be, and that they can get that support there. That's what I aim. That's my aim. That's what I want.
I can't thank you enough for taking the time to educate us on sleep paralysis, its causes, symptoms, and most importantly, sharing your experience with us. Thank you for the courage. Thank you for your research. Thank you for actually putting in some effort to what you were doing. And I strongly believe that you are helping so many people out there today. So thank you.
Well, thank you. I think there's also just one more little pitch I must make, and that's that I'm looking for persons who have had a minimum of 3 experiences to as part of my research. So if you've experienced sleep paralysis, then and you'd like to take part, please do get in touch with me. I have a website which is sheilaprycebrooks.com. I've just put up a page called Participate, which you can sign up for there. If not, then just send me an email. I'll respond to that. That's at info@sheilaprycebrooks.com, and it's Price with a Y. Just say you're interested in taking part in the research, and we'll start to communicate from there and I can capture your story. So I would be really, really grateful for anyone who's willing to take part.
Thank you all for joining me today. It's been great having Sheila here with us to talk to us about sleep paralysis and her experience battling sleep paralysis for over 30 years. I'm going to include a link to Sheila's website in the description box below. So please click on that link if you would like to get in touch with Sheila. Perhaps you have more questions about sleep paralysis or you would like to take part in her research. Thank you all for watching this episode. I will see you in my next video.